Hey friends, hope you're all doing well on this wonderful Friday. Welcome to a new episode of my weekly gaming playlist series. We're going to be chatting and discussing what games I played this week. You guys know I appreciate hearing your thoughts on the games I share with you, so let me know what you thought of them. I also always enjoy hearing about games you guys are playing because that gives me ideas of games that I might want to pick up and check out myself. And I really do enjoy all the recommendations you guys have given me over the years of games that I need to play that you guys think I would enjoy checking out. Let me know about them. I have a big list of games that you guys have shared with me over the years, and I've been tackling that list here and there when I can. If I have the game, that's great, I play it. If I don't, I'll do some research on it, and if it's something that looks interesting, I end up buying a copy for my collection. So we've got a new game that I started playing, and this is I started playing after I beat Silent Hill F, which I had a lot of fun with last week. And we got a new one here this week, and this is a classic title. It was actually a launch title for the Xbox One and one of the first games I ever bought for it, and that was Dead Rising 3. Now, there was a Day 1 edition of Dead Rising 3. Unfortunately, they did not have any copies of that because I didn't pre-order the game. I only pre-ordered my Day 1 edition console from Walmart, so I ended up having to get the regular version of Dead Rising 3, which kind of sucked, but it still is a really fun game. And before playing it this week, the last time I actually played this game was in 2013, and I made it to the end of Chapter 3. There's a total of 8 chapters, but that's as far as I made it. And this week, I decided I wanted to finally beat it, because I've beat Dead Rising 1 multiple times on the 360. I beat Dead Rising 2 multiple times, but I never did beat Dead Rising 3. And this week, I finally got a chance to go back and play this wonderful game. Now, what's awesome is Microsoft this week has been having a spring sale, and they've been having up to like 80-90% off games. And they had the Apocalypse Edition of Dead Rising 3, which is normally $30, but it was on sale for $5.99. So I had to jump on that because it gets you the 4 DLC expansion packs along with new weapons and outfits and vehicles to drive. And so that was a really awesome thing to get. And so that has been an amazing experience. So let me read you guys from the back. It says, "Welcome to the after party. Dead Rising unleashes the power of Xbox One to create the ultimate open-world zombie game with stunning visuals and immersive gameplay. As mechanic Nick Ramos, you'll explore the city of Los Perdidos and team up with other survivors to fight your way out before a military strike wipes the city off the map. Welcome to the after party, where a new generation of zombie-styling thrills awaits. Use your brains or lose them. Cunning and creative count as you face off against zombie horde. Driving has never been this deadly. Vehicles are critical to survival but are far from safe. The ultimate weapon toolbox. Explore the world, discover, and create lethal weapons of destruction." So you're able to create all kinds of combo weapons, which is something that's really cool that they introduced in Dead Rising 2, where you can combine 2 weapons to make them even stronger and have extra abilities. A lot of great stuff like that. Vehicles you get to drive around, and in this time there's a lot more zombies on the screen than were in the Xbox 3 versions of Dead Rising 1 and 2, because the Xbox One is much a more powerful console, so they're able to have more zombies on at the screen at a time, and it can get really chaotic, especially towards the end of the game as more and more of them show up. So let's take a look at Dead Rising 3. Hey guys, today we're playing Dead Rising 3. Now, this was a launch title for the Xbox One, and it's actually the first game that I played and bought for my Xbox One. I got it on launch night. Sadly, I was not able to get the Day 1 edition of Dead Rising 3 because they were sold out, so I had to get a regular copy. But last year, I actually found a used copy of the Day 1 edition, and the greatest thing was the code that came with it was not redeemed, so I was able to redeem the code and get the DLC, which added a couple exclusive characters from Dead Rising 1 and 2. You get to play as Frank and Chuck, skins of them, and this is pretty cool. Well, I have not played this game actually since 2013. I got pretty far in the story and I stopped playing it, and it's just been kind of sitting on the shelf all these years. And I was checking out Microsoft's spring sale, and I saw that they had the Dead Rising 3 Apocalypse Edition on sale for $7 when it's normally $30, and it gets you all the DLC. I had planned to buy a physical version of the Apocalypse Edition. However, I found out it just simply comes with a code. It doesn't have the DLC on it, so there's no point in buying a copy of that when it's just a digital code in there. But really looking forward to revisiting Dead Rising 3, and I've been having a lot of fun with it this week. let's get it started here. Now you have the main story mode that you can go through. There's also a nightmare mode, which makes the game even harder than it was. The Untold Stories is where you have the extra DLC, where you have 4 new DLCs. You get to play as new characters and see the city through their perspective, which was cool. You're also able to play online co-op and stuff. And then here's where you can download the DLC. There's also this Super Ultra Dead Rising 3 Arcade Remix, which adds 4-player co-op and also adds playable Frank West, Chuck Green, Annie Green, and Nick Ramos. So it adds that stuff. But if you get the Apocalypse Edition, you get all these 4 DLCs here. So that's the one I would suggest buying if you want to get the complete story, because I've never played the DLC since it wasn't out, obviously, when I played it originally. So I'm looking forward to going through that. So let's get it started here. I'm currently at level 45, and I'm on chapter 4 of 7. Now, even though this is, playable obviously on the Series X, you don't get an FPS boost or HDR support like they did with some of the games that you could play on your Xbox One X and Series X. So you don't get any improvements like that, but the game still runs a lot smoother than it did on my Xbox One, that I've noticed, just as far as the game doesn't have slowdown like it did at some points and glitches and stuff. So they obviously have released a few patches since the game was originally launched. Now I'll tell you guys the basic story. So a decade after the infamous zombie outbreak in Fortune City, which was Dead Rising 2, the unthinkable has happened again. Los Perdidos, one of California's largest cities, is crawling with zombies. Nick Ramos, a resourceful mechanic, must join a motley band of fellow survivors to escape before an impending military strike annihilates the city and everyone in it. So that's the basic story. You got to get out of this city, rescue people along the way, and try to get out of here. Now, there's a cool thing is, you can restart the story mode if you want to from the beginning, and you can keep all your unlocks and everything, you've upgrades and stuff, and restart the story, but you lose all progress as far as all the survivors that you've saved and that kind of stuff, and so you'll have to redo all that. But just a cool thing to have there. So here's the map of the city. It's not too huge, but it's a decent size for these kind of games. You don't want something that's too massive, as it'd be really hard for you to actually get anything accomplished if it was too massive. But you have the main story you go through, but then you have side missions, and everything is timed with the side missions. They have a bar on them, and if you don't get to them in time, you'll actually fail the side missions, and the only way to do it is to restart that chapter or restart the story over. There's also a bunch of collectibles for you to find, which actually show up on the map. There's challenges to do, tons of zombies to kill, weapon blueprints for you to find, because the series has always been about crafting really crazy, unique, outlandish weapons. There's also cool different vehicles you can craft as well to use, food recipes to find for eating, and then there's tutorials, which it took me a few minutes to get back into the swing of things. I had to play this game, so this was very helpful reading through these because I hadn't played in so long. And then I love the RPG elements here where you can level up your character, which you can see I'm really getting him leveled up with like his life having more health, inventory space, melee, range, mechanic, his agility, and smarts. And then there's also these combo categories used to unlock more combos of weapons and stuff for you to get. Different skills for you to learn as you progress through the story. The PP trials is what you earn to level up. There's these different trials you can do to get more experience for leveling up. And then there's also some cool books you can unlock, which also add abilities for you to do, which is awesome. And the game is full of all kinds of zombies to fight. There's all kinds of random people you will encounter to save. There's also those crazy psychopaths. If you guys remember how infamous some of the different psychopath bosses are in the game, well, there's a bunch of those in this as well. Let's get a vehicle. This is one of the first vehicles I ever got, this turret rig. It's really awesome. And all your weapons and vehicles do have durability, so they can be damaged and destroyed over time. You have 2 different kinds of safe houses on the map. You have the garage ones where you get cars from, and then you have the actual safe house that you can go to, like this one over here. and that's where you're able to switch weapons, your wardrobe change, and recruit survivors that you've rescued for your posses. But there are a ton of zombies, and the further along you get in the story, the more zombies start showing up. So the game does get more difficult as you progress. And the game also has a day and night cycle, so I'm currently at nighttime, and just like in the other Dead Rising games, the zombies are more dangerous at nighttime. They get more frenzied and crazy, and more of them come out. So you have to be careful sometimes out here at night. And you will run into a lot of roadblocks too. So sometimes you have to get out. You can't always bring your vehicles everywhere. And you have a variety of different zombies that you will encounter. And there's all kinds of weapons for you to find spread out throughout the world as well. You have your weapon with here where you can switch weapons that you can hold, and there's some really cool ones, like this minigun. Because they added a bunch of stuff in the DLC, so I have a whole bunch of the DLC weapons that definitely help make the game a lot easier. But if you run a really tough challenge, play the game on the Nightmare difficulty. It's extremely hard. The timer counts down a lot quicker because this game is timed like the other Dead Rising games, where if you don't complete it in time, the city will be bombed and you'll die and you'll have to start all over again. But it's pretty generous in the story mode setting that it does give you plenty of time to do what you want, side missions, find collectibles, that kind of stuff. And just do all the kind of unique killing and all the crazy shit that happens in these games. See, their eyes turn red at nighttime, so that's how you know that they're more ferocious. There's one of the special moves I've unlocked with this weapon.
Come on! Come on! Looks like I got some friends. Fully.
You also periodically will get missions from your cell phone, and that's how you unlock different missions to take on. These are the survivors you can have with you, so you can call up people with you in your posse. You can have up to 5 with you at a time and run around. Not just unlocked an achievement for having a full posse, but you can give them weapons and you can take them with you. You have to be aware, though, that you got to protect them because they can die, but you can give them weapons and stuff and have them help you in missions and stuff. And there's 24 to find total. So far, I have 11 of them. But I usually like to do stuff solo. You also have the cool weapons locker here, where all the different stuff you've unlocked will show up here, because there's different weapons sometimes you'll get from beating certain psychopaths. You'll unlock their weapon, and they'll show up here. Then you also will have DLC weapons here as well. See, here's a download content. All the DLC stuff they added to the game. There's all kinds of new weapons and stuff. So it's really awesome. There's also a ton of outfits to change into. You find them out in the world, but there's also ones from DLC. So you can change here. Different stuff. I found this cop outfit recently, which is pretty cool. Different face stuff. You can wear sunglasses. And then there's different stuff for you to find as you play the game. You have to unlock them. You can have a Capcom head here, a servo bot, which is cool. So there's all kinds of cool Easter eggs and different things. There's some more DLC costumes there for you to check out. But just overall, so been a really fun experience coming back to this game. If you guys have never played Dead Rising 3, I highly recommend checking it out, especially now. You can get the Apocalypse Edition here for only $6.99. And there's a variety of weapons that you're able to craft here when you have certain ones. See, like I have the hold here, and I could turn it into this weapon. Now I just got a Tsar weapon. So you can all kinds of crafting of different weapons and stuff for you. There's all kinds of blueprints to find and for you to try out, and just overall it's just a really fun experience. So if you guys have never played Dead Rising 3, I highly recommend checking it out. It's really cheap, like I said, especially right now, because you can get the Apocalypse Edition for only $7, which gets you all the DLC, so you can go through, beat the story mode, and then you can go through and play those DLC, which I'm looking forward to. I want to finally beat this game so I can see the ending, but I just wanted to give you guys a little taste of the game. Highly recommend Dead Rising 3. Alright, my friends, I hope you guys enjoyed that look at Dead Rising 3. I did actually beat the game, and it was all thanks to the wonderful strategy guide that I bought last year. Right here. Really wish I would have had this when I bought the game. I should have bought this when I bought the copy, as this has been a very essential guide for me to 100% the main game. I was able to get all the collectibles thanks to this book, and I was able to achieve an S ranking and get the best ending by knowing what to do in certain battles, because you can actually end the game at several different points towards the end and you can get different endings. But if you want to get the best ending, there's certain choices you have to make, and that's what I loved about the guide, because it shows you what to do and what not to do. And overall, I had a really fun experience, and I played this on the story mode, which is the base mode, but there is a nightmare mode you can play it on, which makes the game even more difficult, which I don't recommend until after you play the regular main game. I was able to completely max out Nick's character before the end. There was plenty of time for that, so I maxed out all his stats, made him super powerful. I was able to get all the collectibles, I was able to do all the missions, save all the survivors, and I still had plenty of time left to finish the story, because the game does have a timer, and if you don't make it in time, the game just ends, the city gets destroyed, and you have to start over, reload chapters and stuff. But let me let you guys know, I had no issues at all playing the game with a timer. It's very generous. Unless you're playing in nightmare mode, then it's really timed, but that's more for after you've played the game. And then you also get, if you buy the Apocalypse Edition, you get those 4 wonderful DLCs, which you can then go through the story, but you play through a perspective of the characters you meet, but you get to see what they did during some of the events of the main story. So I'm looking forward to playing those. I'm going to wait a while, because I just got done putting a lot of hours into Dead Rising 3, but I do plan to return and beat those DLCs. There was also something cool that I bought last year. I got really lucky, is I did buy the day 1 edition of Dead Rising 3 for my collection, and what was awesome is the day 1 edition DLC that comes on the code was not redeemed, and so I was able to get the DLC, which is the Frank West and Chuck Green tribute packs, which lets you play as skins of them and had different moves and stuff. Now, I did want to warn you guys, if you do buy this copy new, to get the code, because you can still use the code and download the content on it. Do not delete the DLC from your hard drive, because you cannot re-download it from the Xbox Marketplace. When they delisted the original version of Dead Rising 3, they also delisted that DLC, and it doesn't even show that you own it in your account. It's just on the hard drive and lets you access it. Because I tested this, I made a copy on 2 my external hard drive and delete it from my internal one, and I went to go to the store to reinstall it, and I was not able to. And I looked up online and stuff that it was actually delisted, and you can't re-download it only one time with that code. So if you do buy it new and you get the code and you want to get the DLC, just be aware you do not want to delete it, or you'll not be able to get it back. So I found that out, but was really happy that I finally had the Day 1 edition to go with my Day 1 edition Xbox One, along with my copies of Forza Motorsport 5 and the Rise Son of Rome. So I have the full ones that came out. And it was also cool too is this is from the Microsoft Store. It had a Microsoft Store sticker on the back, like they used to do back in the day for Xbox One and 360 times with those huge giant stickers. They eventually made these smaller stickers, but was really cool. So a really awesome game, Dead Rising 3. If you guys are a fan of the classic Dead Rising 1 and 2, give Dead Rising 3 a try. I know that it got a lot of hate and people said they didn't like it as much as Dead Rising 1 and 2, but I had just as much fun with it. It had a wonderful story. It was much darker than the Dead Rising 1 and 2. Those had a more comedic tone. This had a much darker tone to it, but there were still some comedic points to it, but I really liked that it had a darker approach for the series. I think that was a great natural progression for the series, so I really enjoyed this game, beat it, had a lot of fun, and I definitely am looking forward to eventually playing the DLC as it. I do own Dead Rising 4. I will eventually play that as well, as the stories are all connected. From Dead Rising 1 goes to 2, goes to 3, because there are some characters that return from those previous games. So definitely, if you haven't played the first two, make sure you play and beat those so you understand the story, and then play through this one. It's a really good title. It did get a lot of hate when it launched, and even now there's kind of hate on it, but definitely, if you like zombie games and you like the Dead Rising series, you will definitely enjoy number 3. So let me know, if you guys ever played Dead Rising 3, would love to know your thoughts on it. I always enjoy hearing about games you guys are playing, and if you have a recommendation on a title I think I might enjoy playing, let me know. I'm always looking for new games to play and experience. Alright guys, have a wonderful day today on Friday. Hope you guys have some fun gaming. Take care, and I'll see you guys next time.